Good morning. Okay, so I've just dropped off my kids and I'm now making my morning brew. I won't tell you what number I'm on, but today I wanted to talk about motivation, or what to do when you're not feeling motivated and you're running your business. And I'm going to let you into a little secret, but I don't wake up most days feeling really motivated. And I think often we have this idea in our head that entrepreneurs are always like super pumped up, like ready for action, but that is just not me. And I can watch all the motivational YouTube videos out there from like Tony Robbins to Oprah, Robin Sharma, and there are days where I just really struggle to get up in the morning and I don't feel like tackling my to-do list. And since having kids, you can't just hit that snooze button and give yourself another hour. And to be fair, I don't think I did that anyway, which is probably a mad mistake in hindsight. But the reality is that most days I truly have to get things done because there are things that are required of me and people who rely on me. So in those days, I guess the question is like, how do I find my motivation? Now, before I share the things that I actually do to keep motivated, I want to share the underlying causes behind not feeling motivated first, because this took me a long time to actually figure out. And I'm hoping that I can help you with this and tell me if you relate to this. Like if you're somebody who doesn't always wake up with these high levels of motivation, or maybe you're just having a day like that today, give this video a like or comment below and share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And you definitely want to subscribe. So the underlying causes for me when it comes to motivation are really 6 key things. Like number 1 is preservation. Now, this might sound strange, but I often feel unmotivated when I'm working towards something big and often something new, so a new project. And it's like my inner critic, my little mindset monkey who sits on my shoulder is reminding me that this is way outside of my comfort zone. And it's like someone saying like, don't do it. Stand down, Dewey, because you're going to mess up and you're going to embarrass yourself or you're going to fail. And, let me know if you can relate to this or comment below, because those moments, you really have to tune into you and recognize that your brain is just trying to protect you. And you need to instead tap into the highest version of you and really think about, how would that person act? And instead of operating from a place of being scared and feeling like you need to play small to protect yourself, know that you are not limited to that. So that's the first thing. Okay, so number 2 is feeling really overwhelmed. So we pile our to-do lists with so many things that can really feel crippling. And what I find is that if I'm super overwhelmed, the first thing I ask myself is what can I get off my to-do list? Is this something that I really need to be doing? What can I ask for help with? And actually asking for help at the start of your business when you're really doing all the things I know can feel really hard. It's hard to know what to spend your money on, and it can feel hard to, kind of trust people, I think, at the beginning. But to grow and to stay motivated, you need to start getting help so you aren't stuck in the weeds of your business. And instead, you're focusing on the stuff that actually shifts the needle in your business. So just implementing those 2 things will really lighten the load for you. And, you won't feel like you're trying to take on everything because, quite frankly, you don't need to. And when feeling overwhelmed, it's important to take a step back and think, what is it that I'm actually worried about? Am I worrying about things that I just can't control? Or is this someone else's stress that I'm taking on? Okay, number 3 is overcomplicating our business. So often I think that we love to make things harder than they need to be in our business. And actually I've come to realize pretty late on in the game that simple is always best. People don't want a 30-step process to book a webinar with you or a course. We're all busy. We want simple. And that really links to my next point about systems and automation. And I kind of feel like I felt this in different ways that, as the business has grown, from the start realizing that I needed automation because I was manually doing everything for a very long time. And then it was about having the right systems for, where we were. And as we've kind of grown, those systems have changed. And, you don't need fancy systems that do 1,000 things that you're never going to use. You just need simple, effective systems that are compatible and do the job to get your clients from A to B as quickly as possible. And I love the saying by James Clear, who I think spells this out perfectly. And he said, we don't rise to the level of our goals. Like, you fall to the level of your systems. Okay, so the next thing is a lack of clarity or direction. So because of the way that people talk about entrepreneurship and running a business in general, it's like you should be working all of the time, like being busy, busy, busy. But unfortunately, when you operate like this, you sometimes lose track of why you're even working and what you're even working towards. So taking a second, step back, pause, audit what you're doing and go, is this really necessary? And are all these things that I'm doing something that I have to do right now? And most of the time they aren't. So take them off your list. Now, the last thing is feeling like you're running on empty. And I mentioned this earlier, but if you're just tired, do you know what? That's all right. And a day of rest is just as productive as going forward. And in fact, I've mentioned this a bunch of times in other videos, but when you look at athletes, they see rest days and periods as really important because that's when your body can get strong. Like, you can't do anything well when you're running on empty. And the older I get, the more I see that in myself. So listening to your body is key, and you'll come back feeling much stronger. Okay, so let's get into the 5 things that I do to get my motivation back when I need it. So what do I do when I feel like a complete lack of motivation? So what I do is largely inspired by this book, The Miracle Morning by Al Rod, and he talks about the savers. So that breaks down to scribing, so journaling, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and silence. And it's about going through that routine every single day. Now, the first thing I do is grab a coffee and then I exercise for around 20 minutes. It's about just moving and really getting to a point where you feel physically, ready to go and mentally switched on. And then what I like to do is embrace reading. So I read a minimum of 5 pages every day of a book, because in truth, if I didn't make myself do that, I wouldn't prioritize time to read anything. So what I tend to do is I read something that is going to help me just be better generally. So it could be around business, it might be around parenting, whatever works and fits with your goals. And I tap into that side of things more in this video, where I talk about planning your year and planning that in a way that allows you to really reach your goals. Okay, so then I take 10 to 15 minutes to write in my journal. And honestly, 5 years ago, if you would have told me I'd be journaling, I would have laughed. But I find it an incredibly effective way to process information and reflect. And so I'll highlight anything from what has stood out for me in a book, and I'll also use that time to write down stuff that I'm worried about or things that I need to work through, and also things that I'm really grateful for. And that's important because it's easy just to kind of focus on, what's not going right. So I love journaling. And finally, I like to sit in silence for 10 minutes. And I know that might sound a little bit out there for some people listening to this, but we're all on all the time. It's just about taking 10 minutes just to be still, to feel comfortable, and just doing that makes me feel amazing. And I mentioned James Clear earlier, who's the author of the book Atomic Habits. And part of why this book is so great is because it really does allow you to kind of just go on autopilot with the things that make you feel good, and doing them repeatedly on a daily basis without having to kind of think about it. And kind of just picking really simple things that, make you feel good, make you feel happy, make you feel at peace, make you feel joyful. And that's all you need to do. So I often find it easy to fall into analysis paralysis, and tell me if you can relate to this in the comments. But we spend so much time thinking about doing a thing and building it up in our head and making it this huge mountain that you have to climb, and then actually not doing it. So if something is really important or weighing on my mind, I do it at the start of the day rather than wasting energy on either trying to remember to do the thing that I need to do or worrying about it. So if it's important and, it may be as simple as an email that I need to draft, I focus on that first. And do you know what? If it takes me 2 or 3 hours, then it takes me that length of time rather than trying to avoid it or leaving it until late on in the day and then just feeling really rushed or stressed or procrastinating. So prioritizing my day and thinking about what is really important and just doing that key thing first thing it's a game changer. All right, and then there's taking time out. So if I feel really overwhelmed, I like to just take myself out of the environment that I'm in, and I find it's just a really good way to reset. And so one of my favorite places is literally on my doorstep in East London. It's a beautiful park and it has a big lake there, and I just like to walk around it. So I totally switch off, I leave my phone, I just take a walk, I get some perspective and get out of that mindset of like, work, because when I'm in that mindset, it's exhausting and it just leads to further lack of motivation. And then being really real with you guys, sometimes if I'm lacking in motivation and I get home and I'll say to myself, right, I'm just going to get whatever it is that I need to get done so I can just zone out and watch something really bad like Housewives of Atlanta, which is totally my guilty pleasure, where I can just veg out and not think. And finally, like I said at the beginning, a lot of the times your motivation can really be affected when starting something new, where that little, inner critic, that little mindset monkey tries to pull you back, where you're second guessing yourself. And you have to remember that to be the person that you want to be and do the things that you want to do, you need to show up as that person like now. That identity shift is so important in helping you achieve the things that, you really want to do. And it's actually one of the reasons why we have a mindset coach in my coaching program, Scale and Thrive, because that mindset monkey is often the reason why people lack that motivation. It's the reason why they don't achieve their goals. And I've always invested in coaches, or certainly done it for the last 8 years, because it's bloody hard to get out of your own way. So this is a topic that I think we all have to work through. I know it's something that I've struggled with for a long time. And actually, we're human, and sometimes we just don't feel great and lack motivation. And certainly I found that really understanding the triggers, as well as the things that help keep me motivated, when running a business, it's just so important. It really does help you to get back on track. So if this has resonated with you, hit that like button. And if you're wanting to build and scale your business online, then I would love to hear from you. So you can find more information below on how to schedule a call with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.